Bim, 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, yai dai 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 bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat shalom, everyone here. Shabbat shalom, everyone at home. I hope you got used to the fact that sometimes you need to wait a little until we actually begin the service, because so much challah is to be had and so much wine and grape juice is to be drunk. So sometimes we're running a little late now. I heard the doorbell ring. Could someone, Amelia, could you go and check who's in front of the store, who rang the bell just now, and maybe needs to come inside so that no one needs to stand outside in the snow? We are on page 126, setting the tone for this evening. No one there? Okay, with a reading that begins with, I begin. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created, and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us, and to bring that vision to life. So, today is the last Shabbat, and for the bat mitzvah guests of Gaia Levinson, who sits here among us, and there's quite a lot of bat mitzvah guests, you know this because Gaia yesterday spoke very movingly about the fact that this Shabbat is where we close the book of Bereshit. And it doesn't happen very often that we kind of bring the book of Bereshit, of Genesis, with us into a new Gregorian year. It's actually pretty rare because this requires that Hanukkah is after Christmas, and so forth. It doesn't matter. Anyways, but this is very special because we have already begun the next calendar year, and yet it is only now that we're closing the first book of the Torah. Today, on Friday, was the 10th of Tevet, which is one of the fast days throughout the year. So, Kendall, it makes sense that you said to me, I will never eat again. It is one of the markers in our calendars that we're in this time in which very little is happening. Hanukkah is over, and the next Jewish holiday is Tu B'Shvat. That is, not until mid-February. And it celebrates a moment in time that is not visible or even, tangible in our part of the world, because it celebrates the moment in which the sap in the trees in Israel is beginning to rise. So much is ending and few is beginning. Little is beginning for a very long time. We're in an in-between chapter of the Jewish calendar, somewhat also of the Gregorian calendar in Jewish time. And I want to invite you today to lean into this feeling of being neither here nor there, being a little on the journey. For all the guests from out of town, this might make more sense than for the people who are living here, but a lot of you have been traveling or are about to travel. What does it mean to be a little on the journey together? And because I have spoken so much already about the land of Israel, I decided today, because it's only me and I don't need to worry about someone who's accompanying me, I'll bring you some melodies from Israel, the ones that are sung there for Kabbalat Shabbat. I know this is always a little worrisome when you hear a melody for the first time, but don't worry, I will most of the time not bring any words. We'll just sing Yai Dai Dai, okay? It's very easy. So here's the first one. Yai, yai, dai, dai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, yai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Again. Yai, yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, yai. Again. Yai, nai, nai, yai, yai. Yai, nai, nai. Yai, yai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, yai. Yai, nai, nai, yai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Now we're going to put it all together. Yai, 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 nai, nai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, yai. Yai, nai, 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 nai. Yai, nai, nai, yai, yai. Yai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, yai. Yai, nai, nai, yai. Yai, nai, nai, nai. Yai, nai, yai, nai. In my heart I hear your voice speaking to me. Seek my face, and I am seeking you. Lach amar libi bakshu fanai. You stay with the yai dai dai. Bakshu fanai. Lach amar libi bakshu fanai. Bakshu fanai et panecha ad Hashem avakesh et panecha ad Hashem avakesh. Thank you. Thank you. Page 136 for the somewhat a little better known melodies, because we sing them every week. תחבו לאדוני בהדרת קודש כל אדוני על מים אל הכבוד עם ני אדוני על המים רבים כל אדוני בכוח כל אדוני בהדר כל אדוני שובר ארזים וישבר אדוני את עזי הלבנון ויגידם כמו הגה יין עין 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 אדוני למבול ישב וישב אדוני מלך לעולם ני 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 ינן Yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na na yana na 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 yana na 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 yana na 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 Adonai oz lehamo yiten Adonai yevarech et amo Shalom 138 Yana na 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 lechadodi Yana na 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 likakala Yana na 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 penei Shabbat nekabela Shamo וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד verse 1 אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה יאיי יאננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננננنנنנננنנنנنننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننننن פני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת. verse 2 לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לקראת כלה Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likat kala yananai 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 bnei Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likat kala yananai 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 bnei Shabbat nekabela Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likat kala yananai 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 bnei Shabbat nekabela boi v'shalom ateret bala גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה יא נה 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 Please be seated. Let her settle in. Give yourself some time to settle in. Psalm 92, page 140. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. Tov lehodot l'Adonai. לשמך עליון, טוב להודות לאדוני. Shabbat Shalom. And I hope you have arrived a little bit in this place. And now I want to invite you, in front of your inner eyes, travel to the other places on the globe. If you had a handful of pins, and you could put pins on the globe at all the places that shaped you into the person you are today, places you wouldn't necessarily call home, because few of us have maybe more than 3 or 4 or maybe 5 homes, but places that carry a part of you, places that you hold in your memories as places that are a part of your story. And just drop your pins and think about one of these places after the other. Some of these are places you may love. Some of these places feel like home. Some of these places are resting places. And as you think about all those places, don't just take the blessing that comes to you from them, but in your heart and mind and inner world, wrap these places in love and care. Some of these places might be in need of healing. Page 146, Baruch Hu. We welcome God's presence into our lives, into this place. Sometimes God's presence feels glorious, and sometimes God's presence can feel also a little bit broken. If you're able, please rise. 146. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vahed. Please be seated. 148. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim el chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. 150 with never-ending love. And because it's just me, would you do me a big favor and you just sing the responses, okay? Ahavat olam, ahavat olam, ahavat olam, ahavtanu, ahavat olam, ahavat olam, ahavat olam, ahavtanu, 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 Adonai Eloheinu. How you have loved us, how deeply you have loved us, how deeply you have loved us, Adonai Eloheinu. How deeply you have loved us, how deeply you have loved us, how deeply you have loved, Adonai Eloheinu. Ahavat olam, ahavat olam, ahavat olam, ahavtanu, ואהבת אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. 152. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. And before we sing the Mi Chamocha, the song of the journey and the walking, I decided that today we are going to have the sermon right here, because sometimes rabbis get little gifts, and my gift yesterday was Gaia's bat mitzvah service, in which so many things were spoken about that kind of kept on echoing in me. And so I went back to this book. It's called The Journey Home by Rabbi Larry Hoffman, who was here, I think, last June that was, yes. It is one of the few books that try to speak about what Jewish spirituality is, and if there is such a thing, because usually when you ask a Jew, like, are you Jewish, they will say something like, yeah, but I'm not religious, I'm just spiritual, but then it's not so clear what that means, other than they do yoga. So this happens, I don't know, every now and then. So this book is an attempt to think about what Jewish spirituality is. And it's an interesting thing because the title of the book, Journey Home, the Journey Home, puts together two nouns that we don't often think about together, journey and home. And this was a topic that was spoken about quite powerfully if you want to look at the YouTube recording, especially by Kendall, Gaia's mom, but also by Gaia herself. What is that? A cry for help? She's innocent. She's completely innocent. So the reason that I started thinking about this book, and I will tell you in a little bit of time what is written about in this book. The reason that I'm started to think about this book is that in this week's Parsha, we're speaking about Jacob's death, which occurs not at home. It occurs in Egypt after he had brought his entire family there to live under the protection of his still living son Joseph in this foreign land. At the time that Jacob dies, he speaks to Joseph about his last wish. And his last wish, he says, is not to be buried there, but to go back home and to be buried where the rest of his family is buried. So I wondered a little, what is this that makes all of us intuitively understand what Jacob asked for? What is it that brings us the custom of placing in a Jewish casket a little a handful of soil from the Holy Land, as if every single one of us is also buried, at least to a little tiny handful degree, in the land that we call biblically home. What is the strange thing that we call a country home that some of us have never been to and might never go to until the end of our lives? Basically, what this book says, in many, many different ways, is that all of us carry within us a map of the world, which is why I asked you to imagine the world and put little pins on it, right? Right, good. All of us carry within us a map of a world and a timeline. For Jews, and that is singular to us, we have a pin in the land of Israel. And we have a timeline that begins with the beginning of this world. When we tell our story, many of us don't begin with, I was born in, but we begin with a person whose name is Abraham, because this is when our story begins. And these doubling of maps and timelines and stories has lots and lots and lots of different implications. We read the news differently. Sometimes Jews vote for what's good for the Jews, and not only what is good for their immediate surrounding. If that's always true or not, that's a different question. But we often do this. We think about other concerns than our immediate geographic surrounding. We don't pray towards the center of our town. We direct ourselves eastwards, towards Jerusalem. And when we celebrate holidays, they don't always fall on the moment of the season, the agricultural season that we live in, but we celebrate the agricultural seasons of an entirely different place. What this means is that we make meaning differently. We think about the world in complex ways. We can compare ourselves with the stories of other Jews in this world. We can look back in history and tell different stories. And we can look at the globe, and at least to a certain degree, and for some of us it might not be that much, the stories and events in a different place, utterly different than the place we live in, are just as important as the ones we live in every day. We also get to compare our own lives, our own families, the things that happen to us in our own lives, to the lives and happenings of the lives of many, many other people. And often we see ourselves shrink in comparison to them, because the evil that struck us is not quite as awful as the evil that struck other generations. Because whatever we did in our own humble lives is not quite as grandiose as what other generations did in their lives. And so when we try to understand what the meaning is of our life, we're always living and thinking in a context much, much bigger than the context in which we live. This is humbling. But it is also, in a way, just a great responsibility to reshape who we are and think about ourselves every year anew. Every now and then, someone comes to me and says, my favorite holiday is Yom Kippur. And it usually doesn't have anything to do with like an excessive love for fasting. Sometimes it does. But mostly these people love sitting in the synagogue and looking back at the shape their lives took over the last year. And these people love sitting for hours in the synagogue thinking about the shape they want to give their lives in the coming year. And we hear about God and the stories of our forefathers and mothers, and we hear about lives in different places as we are coming up with these plans that stretch sometimes far, far into the future. And yet, we never arrive, and we never know what will come. Jews live in diaspora, most of us, outside the borders of the state of Israel, and even inside the state of Israel. Many of my friends tell me my inner world has nothing to do anymore with my outer world. I'm home, but I'm not. My own life is relatively peaceful, but the rest of my life is completely and utterly insane. So we're now living in a time in which even Israelis feel like they're not home anymore. There is no home anymore. We're also not in any ways at a moment in time where anybody of us would want to push the pause button and say, it's great right now. Let's not change anything right now. This is good. Let's just sit here. No one wants this right now. Whatever the future might bring, hopefully, we think it will bring something better. So we're yearning and yearning towards the future. In Judaism also, we will forever be just the generation in between. The deeds and merits of our forefathers will always, always exceed our own deeds and merits. And, let's face it, the importance of our kids by far exceeds our own importance. So who even cares what happens to us as long as the next generation is going to be happier and healthier and wealthier than we are? Being a Hebrew, being a Jew, inherently means to be a wanderer, to be on the journey, to not push the pause button, to not arrive, to always yearn towards the future, while at the same time being very, very much at home in the here and now. And this is the second part of this title, the word home. The word home in Hebrew is bayit, and it is a magical word. Bayit means just house. It also means home. It is also the rabbinic word for spouse. You can say to someone, you're my house. Or you can say, my house over there. That's ultimately what matters. A house is also a tribe. We always say this, mi Beit Yehuda, Beit Ephraim, right? It is more than just the spouse. It is our history. It is our ancestors. It is our children. It is the people who make up what we will call our tribe, our community, our belonging. And strangely, a house is also the cemetery, the place in which we come to rest, in which we put our bodies, and then finally get to hit the pause button, at least for a little while, so we think, until a far, far away day that will eventually come. Here we are. And I want you all to think back to this person who was looking at the stars in a land completely foreign to him and wished to go home. And I want you to think about Abraham, the first person who was called a Jew, looking at the stars. And I want to remind you, every time we look at the stars, we look both at space and at time together. And at the same time, while being rooted in place right next to our humble tents, we look out there and we see the generations to come and also all the generations that passed. We look towards a moment in time when we will all arrive. And yet we also look into a world in which all of us are just wanderers together. Shabbat Shalom. Yay, 158. Yay, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי נאי 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 נאי, יאי נאי 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 נאי, יאי נאי 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 נאי, יאי נאי 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 נאי, יאי נאי 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 נאי. 162. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת, את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, שבת ויהי נפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמעו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת, לעשות את השבת, את השבת, לדורותם ברית עולם. Please rise if you're able. page 164, the silent Amidah, the silent prayer. And we learned once about Rabbi Akiva that he would begin the silent Amidah at this corner of the synagogue and he would end somewhere there, in spite of all the rules that you should stand there with your feet together and not move 1 inch. And they asked him, why is this? And he said, I'm just trying to find my right place in the world. So if you're so inclined and you just feel like you're not quite there, then you're allowed to move around and find a different place. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my mouth that my lips may declare your praise. And if you feel like you have arrived, please be seated. 180, say Shalom today with, again, a little bit of a different melody from a far away land. Ose Shalom bimomav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imu imu, amen. Again, ose Shalom bimomav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imu imu, amen. Ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na, ya na 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 na. Oh, say Shalom bimomav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imu imu, amen. Ve'imu, this is a moment in which so much is happening in this congregation between Gaia's bat mitzvah and the birthday of Ryan Jacob, who died last year, between the death of Cody's grandma and the death in a different family of this community. I just want to invite you all, take a deep breath. Think of these families in our midst who both have lots of stress because they celebrate Simchas, and I'm looking at you, Eva. It is happening next week. We're celebrating another bat mitzvah of Eva's daughter, Mira, so please come for this on Saturday morning at 9:30 and support Mira and support Eva, because it really is always a big, big deal that is happening in any given family. And all the different pains, big and small, that we're holding here together. Page 371, Misheberach, for those in need of healing. Is there anybody who would love to add someone you know personally who could use an extra layer of blessings and healings and protection? Right, right. And Annika. And let's really include all of these people in California who are in their cars, in hotels, running from the fire, fighting the fire. I know that Richard and Janelle have many reasons not to be here. They've traveled quite a lot, but both of them are also following the line of the fire because their childhood homes of both of them are right where the fires are raging. There are people in this community whose childhood synagogues went into ashes. So there is a lot of healing prayers necessary. Page 371. Mi sheberach avoteinu mekor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Oh, great. I was just like, who is still here? They're still doing their thing here, the Hebrew kids. Okay. They did a puppet theater about the story of Hanukkah, to which we were all invited, and then, it was amazing. Sometimes these kids are doing amazing things. And sometimes they're just like doing silly things with me, but hi, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. We are about to say the Kaddish on page 598. I think it is 598, yes. Is there anybody here who lost someone this very week, or who is remembering someone who passed away during this time of the year, who would love to share a name and a story? Yeah, and or a story. page 598. Please rise if you're able. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחי יכון וביום יכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה ברכו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יש למה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen. And it is too early to say Kaddish for her, but Cody really had a Jewish grandma. Her name was Deborah, and she will be buried within the days to come. Zichronam livracha, may their memory be a blessing. Zichrono livracha, Zichrono livracha, Zichronam livracha. We are blessed, remembering you. Please be seated for a moment. Before we sing Shalom Aleichem, and really just in a somewhat desperate attempt of mine to find a right moment to announce this here, it's maybe a little too early. Things might go wrong. We might in the end not get it. But I do want to share one piece of news. This impeding synagogue renovation, when we never spoke about how much money we actually need for it, because we didn't want to put anybody in despair, because we would probably not reach this number. But the very big number with which we started somewhere in the back of our head was actually 1.5 million. And this person here in the first row by the name of Ed Lewis, you know, we're still not quite there, but it looks pretty good. He helped us 1/3 there. It's not his personal money, but I just want to say, you know, like, be nice to him, and thank you, and thank you, thank you, thank you. So, in this time of lots of news and movements and change, find a moment of quiet inside of you. Take the hand of someone you love. Share a hug. Do whatever feels right in a connection of gratitude, friendship, romantic love, paternal feelings, whatever you have with each other. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and protect you. May God's light shine upon you, and may you walk and journey and arrive home in this godly light every single day of your journey. Amen. Page 627. Shalom Aleichem. Again today with a melody from Israel. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi-melech Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leshalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shabbat Shalom. We're both back to normal and totally not. Marnie is starting her world-famous Yiddish class again this Sunday at 2 p.m. Hila is doing a monthly Israeli folk dance class Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. this week. Ida and I are coming too. We're just running around headlessly, but it's still fun. There's Alexander technique. There's Mahjong on Tuesday. I believe the week following this week, we're volunteering at Fork and Spoon. Next weekend, we have a big bat mitzvah, and the Friday night before is really just a Zoom service. And so it goes on and on and on and on. And we're back to Hebrew class. We started today. It's Friday, 12 p.m. on Zoom. We're reading the book of Ruth, while I'm also making some very serious attempts to teach you Hebrew grammar. And it's okay if you only know the alphabet. That makes the task for me even more fun, because there's something in it for everyone, supposedly. And then there are some people who travel to Hawaii, have fun there, and then there are some people who travel back to New York, and you will be missed here, or to Seattle. And it was so nice that you came. You really did lots of services during your short stay in Bozeman here, so I would rub my head too. And welcome, was it Mira? Mia. Welcome, Mia, to Beth Shalom. It's wonderful having you. Shabbat Shalom. And there is more of the cream cheese and crackers in the room next door. There is more wine. There is more grape juice. Please stay as long as you want to. And if you just want to go home and go to bed, you can do that too. Shabbat Shalom.